Buckle your seats, everybody. We're going to Wooddale High School and check out the organization of Black aerospace professionals and their Girls to Women program that they have going on at Wooddale today.
All right, folks, we've been cleared for takeoff.
Today's event is the second annual event of Project Aerospace Girls to Women. It's an event that we're very excited about is to open girls up and let them know the different careers that are available to them in Project Aerospace. It also gives an opportunity to talk to them about leadership, decision making, and how to brand themselves. What you need to do when you're out in the public and things that you don't need to do. One of the things that we are focusing on is to make this a big event so that girls will also know where to go, how to do, and what to get involved in aerospace.
Well, we're exposing a group of young females first time to aviation. Some of them are students here at Wooddale, so they're familiar with our program, but this is a program that's all-encompassing, and we have students from other schools out here that have an opportunity to experience the world of aviation, if you will, here at Wooddale High School.
The Girls to Women event at Wooddale High School, it's a good experience because some girls they don't understand that aviation isn't just a men's field industry, and it's a lot of stuff that girls can do. They can fly planes, they can work on planes, they can do anything. For me, this is a good experience because I wouldn't be a pilot in the Air Force, and not a lot of girls get to do that.
Let's hear from the aviation instructor at Wooddale, Mr. Holmes.
Today we have the Girls to Women event. This is an annual event, second annual event, and we have young ladies come in from grades 8 through 12, and we basically show them different areas of aviation with different aviation professionals. They get to do flight simulators, fly remotely piloted vehicles, talk about different situations, learn about how they would handle and cope with different scenarios in their life. Also have interviews and talk with aviation professionals, women in aviation that are actually doing it, pilots, air traffic controllers, aviation maintenance professionals.
I'll tell you a little bit about how I got started. We're here at Wooddale High School, a school that I've been working with since 1992. But getting a chance to grow up in the Memphis area, I started my flying at a flight school at FedEx, which came over from Little Rock. And I learned to fly back in 1978. I got all my pilot certificates between 1978 and 79. And flew for different companies around the area. Worked as a flight instructor at Memphis International Airport down in Olive Branch. And in 1983, I got hired on as a pilot with FedEx. And since 1983 up until now, I've had an opportunity to fly airplanes all around the world. I worked in the office for about 10 years as assistant chief pilot, as director of operations. And I'm currently flying a Boeing 777. I just got back this morning from Osaka, Japan, an 11-hour flight. And, I started out flying with just a dream of wanting to be a pilot, and that's what drove. It took a little bit for me not going into the military to be able to come up with the funds for it. But through working part-time jobs, working full-time jobs all at the same time, I was able to pay for my flying. And then becoming a flight instructor helped pay for gaining more hours and learning my trade. So great job, and for those who are watching this, hey, anybody can do it. It's just a matter of having the patience, the fortitude, and the skill to stay at it.
We couldn't leave Wooddale without checking out the UAV exhibition in the gymnasium. You may ask yourself, what's a UAV? A UAV is an unmanned aerial vehicle, commonly known as a drone. That's right, drones are flying at Wooddale today. Let's step inside and take a peek at the future of aerospace.
This is the drone portion. This is the drone module, and he actually flies drones. They fly them off of the ground. They get really high. You can actually have some with cameras, and they do a lot of different things.
I fly UAV modules, and some have cameras, some don't. You can use them for football games and my band competitions since I'm in the band, and just doing a lot of things. There also can be new things to do with drones, like for cops, they can go search out a place if they need to and find out what they need to bring to the site or the crime scene or whatever they need. And that's pretty much it. They come in different places. This is one of the consumer ones and commercial ones that you can buy offline. Most of these are the ones you buy offline. The really big ones, the ones you have to have special clearance for, like the Air Force flies, some that are really, really large, and some that can go up to 300 miles out from the base that they have.
The man you're looking at now, I was instructed to please have a word with him before I exit the building. What I was told, he has a lot of history to share.
Well, mine is a humble beginning that started actually back in the 60s. I grew up on a farm in Georgia. I went to the public school system, went through the public school system. Fortunately, I graduated from high school at the age of 16. And I left the farm to go to college at Tuskegee, Alabama. I graduated from there at the age of 20. That was back in 1971. And while I was there, I had the opportunity to enter into the flight instruction program for the United States Air Force. My instructor that I had for the initial flight training program was Chief Charles Alfred Anderson, who was one of the original Tuskegee Airmen and also known as the father of aviation. And coincidentally, he is the person who flew First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt when she came to the university. I went into the Air Force after that. Pilot training was very difficult at that time. We had 10 individuals who finished the flight program there at Tuskegee. And out of those 10, I was fortunate enough to be the only one to finish the flight training program. And I credit a lot of that to my upbringing because my parents always told me to never be a quitter, work as hard as you can. And as a result of that, I was able to finish the flight training program there in Selma, Alabama, in spite of all the odds, which brings to mind the Tuskegee Airmen. They were up against tremendous odds at the times that they went through training back in the 40s, so they preceded me by at least 20 years. The flight training program at Tuskegee was set up to prove whether or not the African Americans and minorities, since there were 5 Haitian graduates at the time, could fly airplanes or not. So these individuals went through a very rigorous program. A lot of them were eliminated, but many did succeed, and they proved to the Air Force, or the Army Air Corps at the time as it was called, that we were capable of flying airplanes. And not only were we capable of flying airplanes, but we were capable of flying airplanes just as good as or better than anyone else. And the record of the Tuskegee Airmen speaks for that amount of success. We were requested, that is, the Tuskegee Airmen were requested by many of the bomber pilots, which of course were white bomber pilots at the time. They requested the Tuskegee Airmen to provide the escort service. And the reason they did that is because the Tuskegee Airmen were the group that could protect the bombers the most. And they ensured that these individuals were able to get back home, or as Colonel Davis stated, every time that we save a bomber, we're able to return 10 individuals back to their family. So he advised his men to not go out and try to achieve personal victories by downing the enemy, but our job was to protect those individuals that were flying those bombers so that they could succeed in their mission and return home safely.
Is it possible if you can give us a tip for those young individuals who may have an adverse upbringing or going through some things trying to accomplish something like yourself?
Well, my best tip is to really never forget who you are and where you came from, because you're a black or African American. There's no question about it. But as you approach these tasks, you have to think of yourself not just as an African American or as a black, but as a person who can succeed. And if you will apply yourself and do the best you can, then that's really the best way to overcome adversity. You can't look for reasons to quit. You can't look for reasons to back out. If you see an obstacle that's in front of you, and there will be many obstacles, there are several ways to look at that. One is you can say, now, I can't succeed, so I'm going to turn around and go back. No one is expecting me to be able to be successful at this. Another way that you can look at it is, I have this obstacle ahead of me, so how do I overcome that obstacle so that I can continue on to my destination, which is the route that I usually took. And then, of course, another way is to go around that obstacle just like you would a roadblock so that you can get to your destination. But you must maintain your focus and remember that you're not to turn down an opportunity. You're not to come up with an excuse and start blaming your teachers, blaming your parents, or anyone else. But look at yourself and think, Should I blame someone or should I figure this out and succeed? Right.
On behalf of the flight crew, thank you for flying with us and have a pleasant day.